Go Chundria, Chundria, it's Chundria Show.
Eczema is a chronic problem for a lot of people, including me, and it's estimated that eczema affects 35 million Americans. With a number of prescription drugs on the market, you might be ready to try something holistic and new. Today, my special guest and I discuss natural, no-nonsense treatments for eczema.
Hi, I'm Ronnisha Wilson, owner of Beverages, and you are watching the Chundria Show.
Tell me about your life as a skincare specialist and your natural skincare company.
So I am I like to call it a skin specialist, but people like to say esthetician.
Okay.
But I focus more on women of color, and that's just my ministry, because I feel like in the beauty industry we're kind of like an afterthought. So I treat women for all types of, well, not treat, but I work with women with all types of different skin issues, but mostly things that affect Black women. Like, we tend to deal with hyperpigmentation a lot, hypopigmentation as well, acne prone skin. So that's mostly what I do on daily, weekly, is just educating women of color about how to deal with those things that affect us.
So you launched your company as a solution for women of color?
Yes, absolutely. And it actually kind of went the other way. I suffer from psoriasis.
Okay.
And that is one of the reasons why I started Beverages, is because I needed a natural solution. I was using very harsh steroids that was prescribed to me by my dermatologist, and I found that they would, they have their own side effects, so it would be the hyperpigmentation, hypopigmentation, and I wanted to create something that was a little bit more natural that would be able to combat, those things.
So was it a lot of research that went into, figuring out your own solutions for your psoriasis?
Absolutely. So I first started with making a bar of soap, because one of the things that I tell a lot of people that I treat, and as well as myself, is to monitor your triggers, monitor things that are very triggering to you. And I found that, like, my dermatologist was like, use Dove. And I was just like, well, when I use Dove, it irritates my skin. It was an irritant for me. So I was like, okay, if I can figure out a natural solution to, like, the soap that I use every day. So I started researching how to make my own soaps. And then from there, it went into researching how to make other products as well, like lotions and body butters, and it just snowballed from there. So it was just really natural solutions for myself, because I found that the steroids and things were kind of like thinning my skin. I'm like, I need something else. So very much a lot of research. A lot of times there's a store called Borders that I spent a lot of time, bookstore, reading, on natural essential oils, natural carrier oils, natural plants, and the medicinal effects of the plants, and herbs and things like that. So
wow.
definitely.
So your research, so you're trying to find solutions for yourself. You found those solutions.
Yes.
How did it become a business? Were people like, oh, what did you do?
So
why's your skin glowing? So
my niece and nephew have chronic eczema.
Okay.
So chronic eczema, literally everything, like, they had to watch everything that they ate, like very strict diets and things like that. So I would give them some of the things I was making for my psoriasis. I would say, you know what, try this, to my brother at the time. And,
oh, auntie.
yes. I'm like, try this and try it this way, like I'm doing. Because I would read a lot. So I'm like, try doing it this way. Try to put the balm on their skin right when their skin is still damp, and see if this is going to work, And it started to work. So I'm like, And at the time I was...
So this is your case study number 2, right? Case number 2 and 3.
Yes.
Okay.
2 and 3. So I would say, you know what, try it this way. And it started to work. And from there, I'm like, I've always been business minded. I was actually a business marketing major at the time that I was also doing this. I was in college. So I'm like, let's see. And I started selling at the farmer's market, the Crenshaw Farmer's Market in Baldwin Hills. And people would come, they would look for me every single weekend. And
So you were selling out, they were coming just for you?
For me. There would be people waiting while I'm setting up my tents. Like, I need that. So I started selling there, and it just eventually evolved from there.
That's incredible. Yes. Today we're discussing no nonsense treatments for eczema. We talked about what specific products do you have on the line now to help people with
So
eczema?
I don't have a huge range of things for eczema, but I just use what works, and I think a lot of it is really educating people on how to like basically understand their skin, because sometimes we have a lot of things we're not using them correctly. But one of the products in particular I created for people who have eczema, psoriasis, and dermatitis in general is our sun balm, and that is made with sunflower oil and chamomile, and we solar infuse the chamomile into the calendula and chamomile into the sunflower oil.
Okay.
And sunflower oil is amazing because it's great for inflammation, and as you know, eczema is like an inflammation or inflammatory response in the skin. So
And you put the sunflower oil on there, and it cuts that down.
So it's actually a balm.
Okay.
It's a balm with other ingredients as well. So we have things like jojoba oil, which is very closely related to our own skin sebum. So it's one of the most one of the oils that's more natural to our skin. That it's in there as well. Calendula is a great soothing effect on the skin, and it's also great for inflammation as well. And then, of course, it's all held together, in the formula with beeswax, which is actually an occlusive. So one of the things that eczema sufferers really deal with is loss of hydration and moisture in the skin.
Okay.
So you want an occlusive product, something that's going to create a seal on the skin barrier and lock that all in. And a lot of times people don't know that, which is why I say water is a great moisturizer, but if you allow it to evaporate off of your skin really fast, it's going to cause dryness. So I tell people you want to put your occlusive or your moisturizer on when your skin is still damp to lock that all in. So
which is something you started to figure out when you were helping yourself, and then when you were working with your niece and nephew.
Because once your skin is dry, all you're doing is applying a product on top of something that's already happened. You want to make sure where your skin is still damp that you're locking that moisture in. Once you allow that moisture to evaporate, now you already created the problem, and then
it's worsening. Now it's going to worsen.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one of the things about people with eczema is that there's a protein in our skin that helps keep moisture in our skin. Well, they lack that, and also the skin barrier is kind of damaged. So. I just try to educate people on the proper way to use things, because sometimes people go, "Oh, this doesn't work for me," and I'm like, "Okay, well, how are you using it?" And I'm like, "No."
So that matters.
Absolutely.
You could have the right product, but
the wrong
use
technique.
it the wrong. Okay.
Absolutely. So even with facial skin, which is what I deal with mostly, that's a lot of the problem. It's the way the product is being used versus the product itself, or maybe the skin type, using a product for your skin type, or, it's all of those things come into effect when you are dealing with the skin. So a lot of what I do is just education.
I love this.
Yes.
I love this. Defy or confirm the myth that there's no actual cure for eczema.
So I'm going to have to confirm that. And I know, because I deal with a lot of the holistic and natural side of things, people want me to say that's not true. But one of our
because people write that it's not. They write that that's true. Like, there's a cure for eczema. Get this, and you're going to be cured for eczema.
And that's one of the things that I really, really try to get across, is that science is there for a reason. Science can be proven, So our tagline for my business is, practical solutions for women of color that's rooted in nature and science.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and the reason why I do that, because it's true. You can have all of these people will tell you anything to sell you anything, and that's just not where I am with it. Because
I'm not gonna lie to you to sell my product. Hey, this is gonna cure your eczema for the rest of your life.
And it's extremely unethical, and that's not where I go with it,
Right.
because I am a person who suffers from psoriasis on a daily basis, and I see so many products on the market goes for psoriasis, and I'm like, no, it's not. Not only from a formulary side of things, but just I know that.
And now you can look on the back of a bottle and tell, why is this in there? That's not
even necessary, So
why is lighter fluid in here?
Right. Or even I see some soaps, they were like, for psoriasis, and I'm like, what is that going to do for psoriasis? That's not true, But people they don't know.
Right.
I actually know, because I live with this, disease on a daily basis. It's a constant struggle. There's no one product that's just going to cure it. It's a lot of treatment. It's a lot of dietary and lifestyle changes that also goes into helping the products to work.
What have you given up dietary wise?
For me, I have to really be careful about herbs and spices. For me, like cinnamon and things like that, they really, really trigger like that inflammatory response in my body to where I start itching. Citrus, I have to give up. Dairy, I struggle with dairy. I do. I'm not gonna lie, because I like my chai teas and stuff.
For me, my struggle is spicy foods.
Yeah. I can't even do that anyway because I have acid reflux.
Okay.
I wish. So that was the first.
So that was easy. Like you could go.
Yeah, that would cause actual pain.
Right.
But, some of those things, like I do struggle, like I said, with dairy because I'm like, ooh, I want a chai tea. But my biggest trigger, and I notice a lot of triggers too, is stress. Like if I'm in stressful situations, or I don't know how to manage my stress in situations, I notice that I will have a flare. So a lot of that.
Something as simple as that. If you struggle with, skincare, I've had eczema my whole life as well. So that's a simple solution. Like, calm down.
Manage your stress, and it's really, really that's one of the things that my dermatologist, had to get through to me, and as well as my gastroenterologist, because I have anxiety too. So they always say, you need to really do your deep breathing. You need to do your meditation. And I tried yoga. That doesn't really work for me. I feel like it makes it worse.
That's not going to work for
Running
me. I'm
works,
okay.
But you just manage your triggers, or understand your triggers and what are like if you notice after, I ate this, and now I notice maybe the next day or a couple days later I'm having a flare. Write that down, or try to remember it.
So keep a journal.
Yes, keep a journal. Keep some type of planner where you write those things down. Like I have a planner. I also created a skincare planner, and I tell people
I like
to.
That. That's neat. How do you get that? Where do you get that from?
So it's actually on my site. It's just a printable.
Okay.
Just what is it? A PDF printable, and you can just purchase it, and then it'll come right to your email, and you just print it out, and you just keep track of your triggers, keep track of what you're using, what's working, what's not working, and that's just because that's what I did. Well, it was something that my dermatologist told me to do, write it down. But I like cute things. I like things that make sense in columns and order. So I made it, I created it like that. But I think it's helpful. It's helped me a lot, and it's helped my clients to figure out, those things. It all works together in a big picture. It's more than just a product.
Those are great tips. Those are great tips, especially as an eczema sufferer. I think you've given some great advice today. We talked about the diet. We talked about how to help your children who may have issues with that. Well, I'm excited and grateful for your expertise today. If anybody wants to purchase any of your products, book you for speaking engagements. I'm going to throw that out there. What's the best way to get in contact with you?
So you can contact me on my website at demosea.com. That's DEMOSEA.com. Or you can reach out to me at Ronnie@demosea.com.
Ronnie. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate it. While the average American work week is 40 hours, an entrepreneur's schedule can far exceed 100 hours per week. So it's incredibly important to consume the right foods and beverages to sustain energy and maximum performance. Today, my special guest and I discuss empowered eating for entrepreneurs.
I'm Dr. Meg Haworth, and I'm the author of Get Well Now and Done with Dairy, Giving Up Gluten, and you're watching The Chundria Show.
In a different way than we might think about. So I'm excited to get into. So tell me about your career and your very important mission to help others become the best versions of themselves.
Yeah. I have a specific niche, but my career has really been in holistic medicine. So my background's as a doctor of transpersonal psychology, which is holistic psychology. And then I've also been a private chef to celebrities in Hollywood, doing diets for specific conditions and food allergies and just staying thin for camera, because it just turns out that real food does that. So so that's a big part of what I do, is I combine those elements, food and the power of the mind and heart, to help people heal themselves, focusing mainly on women abuse survivors with chronic illness and that connection between the two.
Love that. I absolutely love that. What is your affinity to help women come from?
It comes from my own story, actually. I had over a dozen illnesses by the time I was in my 20s, in and out of doctor's offices, and then I drowned when I was 2. I was struck by lightning only 6 years ago. So I had all these different traumas. I had sexual abuse, physical, emotional abuse, all of those things. And so my journey was this lifelong journey of really helping myself heal and all the things I learned. And when I found that chronic illness doesn't have to be chronic, you know, when my own body showed me this, I was like, I have to share this. How do I not share this? You know?
Wow,
So.
you're so resilient. You're such a strong person I mean, I probably don't even understand the half of the magnitude of what you've experienced, but man, you sound so strong and brave and courageous, and then to take that and turn it into a way for you to inspire and encourage others. So what's your diet? What's your diet like these? Are you a vegan? Tell me, how you eat personally?
No, I'm not a vegan.
Okay.
I tried the vegan diet and it didn't work for me. So I'm always about listening to the cues that your body's giving you about what you're feeding it. And so what I do is I do eat organic meats sometimes, maybe only a few times a month.
Okay.
But, you know, I'll eat fish, I'll eat chicken.
Okay.
Again, all organic. I think that's really critical, is just how the food was farmed, whether it be anything you put in your mouth, you know. I eat a lot of vegetables. I love I have this chocolate pudding I make out of avocado and raw cacao powder and honey and stevia in coconut milk. I make my own coconut milk. It's all really simple. Once you get it down, it's so simple. It's much easier actually than running to the market and spending all that time.
And you don't have to feel like you have to go without so much. You know, I think sometimes that can be the scary part of dieting or changing your diet, is that you feel like you have to neglect something or something you really love. You're making dishes and just have to sounds like you have to just do a little more research. And, today we're discussing empowered eating for entrepreneurs. In your opinion, why should entrepreneurs be more mindful of the foods and beverages they consume while undertaking professional endeavors?
I think entrepreneurs are some of the most valuable people we have on the planet. Most of us get into what we're doing so that we can really make this world a better place. You know, we've made ourselves that, and so we want to put that out there with others. And so fueling your body to be able to carry your mission is one of the most important things that you will ever do. It's just a baseline, basic thing, because the food you're putting in your body can really be making you sick or can really be making you well. And so we just need energy. So that's, I think, one of the most important.
So, you know, for someone like you, you know, how do you encourage your clients to do that?
Yeah, I go with their lifestyle. You know,
Okay.
if they are super busy, there's so many services today. It's amazing.
Oh, I
I've
see.
been in this business for 25 years, and to be able to watch what's happened, there's places like Erewhon and Whole Foods where you can go in and you can get things that are already prepared.
So like our bodies, our brains have very specific requirements. What's the secret to maximum brain power and health?
The big secret, I think the most important thing, is the brain is actually made up of mostly fats. And so we need to support the brain by putting fats in it. So putting healthy fats, you know, like coconut oil, using whole oils instead of the processed oils that are inflammatory. So nuts and seeds and avocados and all these yummy, healthy things. Fish oil. Fish oil, a high quality, high dose of fish oil supplement can really turn inflammation around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it changed my life when I had the lightning strike because the nervous system and the brain were damaged. And
Where were you when that happened to you?
I was on Venice Beach.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Venice Beach, California, you don't ever think it's going to happen there. It's like the last place we get thunderstorms.
Wasn't this on the news?
It was on the international news. I was on NBC Nightly News
I
and
remember
LA
this
Times.
story.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with you.
Yeah. Yeah, just what are the chances, right?
While you were just at the beach that day, just laid out on the beach.
Yeah, I was just going for a walk with one of my best friends, and we both got struck together, which
And
was
how's she today?
fascinating. She did a lot better than I did from the start, but we had so many things similar at the outset. You know, just with, we felt like we'd been hit over the head with a frying pan, so it just felt like a sunburn it was
Oh,
like
I
on the
see.
brain and on the head. It was just like this massive heat. And then sleeplessness. It basically I ended up with post-concussion syndrome from the lightning strike. So I became sensitive to light and sound, and then I have a disc in my lower back that was damaged and the nerves and muscles in my legs, but it changed my life in the best way possible.
So what was your recovery time from then to now? And what do you attribute to that? From your own, expertise? Because I mean, I imagine if that's perhaps happened to someone else who's not as knowledgeable as you are, what was your road to recovery based on your expertise?
Yeah, it's a long, slow recovery when the brain is involved, always. And so the more you can support that with food, again, the fish oil helped. I could tell the difference once I started using it within a couple of weeks. And then the diet helped dramatically. Stopping alcohol helped dramatically.
Okay.
Because it's just really hard for the brain and the body and the nervous system to heal when you're putting things in it that are making it harder to do that.
Right.
So, and those are, toxic foods, things that have preservatives and additives and food chemicals, and also pesticides and herbicides and those things. So those they can dial back your health no matter what you're trying to do.
Right.
So it took a long time. I'm still dealing with some after effects. They say I will for the rest of my life. It's kind of a common thing with lightning strike. If you can imagine a bolt hitting you up to
Venice Beach.
Yeah,
I
I know.
Can't.
It's insane.
I can't
Yeah.
even wrap I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my. What are some foods and specific behaviors you feel entrepreneurs should avoid to ensure they continue to thrive and feel motivated? You talked about the alcohol, which could be common, like, oh, I need a drink after the day I had. So what other things should entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
what can they do?
Snacking. We do a lot of snacking because we're sitting on our computers. So it's just like we try to grab things that are really fast. And so just start thinking differently about your snacking. So you want to avoid the heavily processed foods that have hydrogenated oils in them, for instance, or that have food chemicals in them, food coloring, food dyes. There's a lot of healthy snacks that you can grab these days. Like Trader Joe's now has these beet chips that are organic, and instead of having canola oil in them, so look for canola oil because that's an inflammatory oil.
Okay.
I can't remember the oil they're using, but anyway, it's definitely a much better whole food in terms of processed food. So learn to read ingredient labels. That makes a big difference. Cutting out factory farmed meats will make a big difference as well. So because if you think about it this way, you are what your food eats, So that means what your plants are eating, what the animals are eating that you're consuming, that becomes a part of you. So what do you want that to be?
Right. Thinking ahead, planning ahead, reading your labels.
Yeah, sugar, that's another big one.
Sugar.
White sugars, cane sugars that a lot of entrepreneurs, we just, we'll stuff our face with these
Snacks and goodies.
Yeah, and there's so many alternatives today.
Okay. Do you do, like, for your coffee, obviously you're not putting sugar in your coffee. What do you put in your coffee?
I make my own coconut milk.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah, I just have 1 cup of coffee a day, and then I put coconut milk in it. I went through a period where I used raw cacao butter and blended it, and it's...
What is it called?
Oh my
Cacao?
God, it's so good. Cacao butter.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the basis of chocolate is cacao butter.
Okay. So it's like a little sweet?
There's a little sweetness to it, yeah. So, and if you do want sweetness, if you really need that, then stevia is a good thing. I know people who love honey in their coffee.
Okay. Oh, I've never had honey in my coffee.
Yeah, I don't love it, but
Okay.
what I did many years ago is, and something I tell my clients, is a palate adjustment, because there is going to be an adjustment when you go from eating heavily processed food with chemicals in it that are really made to make you addicted to them.
So you keep eating it and drinking it.
Exactly. So there's an adjustment for the palate to start to be able to taste real food. And what does that taste like? What is that, like a tomato tastes amazing, especially a nice organic heirloom,
But if you're used to eating a bag of chips, then you wouldn't be ready to make that sacrifice.
Yeah. So you can do that with your coffee too. Just get used to not having sweeteners.
Got it. Makes sense. As a career woman yourself, what are some of your favorite foods and snacks when you're hard at work versus when you're home relaxing and have downtime? It's just really, really busy. What do you grab?
That's a great question. I have a lot of stuff that's made already in the refrigerator. So I'll do, like I'll take a break and just make a dip. I love dips.
So what are you dipping? All vegetables in there?
I'll do vegetables, or sometimes I'll do like beet chips or taro chips. So I'm not like totally against them, but I do know. Again, it's about listening to my body, yeah. So, and then I'll make that chocolate pudding, or I'll make raw cacao coconut candies, that are really simple to make. They're made with honey instead of white sugars.
So you have your own recipes for a lot of things that you just, trial and error. Oh, that's good. I want us to keep doing that. And then you wrote these 2 amazing books. Tell me about these.
Yeah, so this is done with Dairy Giving Up Gluten. This is one of the first books that I wrote. Actually, I wrote it like in 2000, and then it republished it in 2008. And it's 14 days of breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, product picks, grocery lists. Just basically, it's like a how-to. And these are things that everyone wants. Like pizza.
Are they recipes?
Yeah, they're recipes in here. Recipes, and some are just suggestions. But I mean, people want pizza.
Oh, day 8 dinner, day 8 dessert. Like, you really do help. Like, this is amazing. Roast chicken with ginger, sweet potatoes, and salad. That sounds good. That sounds pretty yummy.
And incidentally, these days it's
chicken noodle soup with cornbread. Yummy.
So, like, these are things people want, right? It's what I wanted when
This is what they want. I mean, I feel like this is a turkey burger. Like, these are very great. These are great things, like, that you wouldn't feel like you made a sacrifice for,
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Wow. 14 complete days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This is amazing. And then you have these available on your website if anyone wants to purchase. And then tell me about this one, Get Well Now.
Get Well Now is my most recent book. And this one was, it's a basic guide of holistic medicine. I mean, it's just everything you need to do to heal yourself from chronic illness. Because the big question I ask myself, and I always tell this to my audiences, is think about if you were struck by lightning, if you were taken out of the game today, what is the service that you have to give to humanity? What's your highest service, and are you living that? And when I asked myself that question, I was like, no, not yet.
So it was a challenge for you too to get there.
Yeah.
And then here you are.
Yeah.
Healing yourself with food and the power of the mind. Yeah. This is amazing. Well, I am so amazed by you. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for being my guest today.
She don't Chundria, I don't Chundria, he don't Chundria, go, go. She don't Chundria, I don't Chundria, they don't Chundria, go, go. It's a Chundria show, yo. It's a Chundria, go, go, go. Chundria, Chundria. It's a Chundria show, go, go. She don't Chundria.